Morning, guys. Today, Conor McGregor shares with us another piece of advice that will help every single day of our lives, and that is live every day like a champion. And this, I think, is where perhaps Conor McGregor is often misunderstood. I could be wrong, but he would think and live like a champion every single day, even before he became a champion in the UFC. And I think, some people might view that as being arrogant, confident, um, and view it in a negative fashion. But this man was simply using the most powerful thing in the world, our thoughts, his thoughts, to manifest and eventually become a champion. But he lived like a champion and still lives like a champion. How can we apply this today in our life? Whatever you're doing, even the most simplest thing, your job, live like a champion at that and watch what happens to your results. Have a good morning, everyone.
I made the mistake in my life of studying people that appeared to be successful.
A lot of people are like that.
They appeared to be successful. Today in the times that we live in, you can go on Instagram and it looks like everybody owns a Ferrari, everybody has a Rolls Royce, everybody looks like they're having the best day of their life. That's not studying, that's watching. I want to study people. Or even at conferences, you can go to a conference and watch somebody on stage, and he or she could present to like they're so successful. But if you really get behind the scenes, you'll find out there is no success there. It's just a lot of talking. And so I would just strongly suggest to people to pick a handful of people and make sure those people are actually doing, not just saying. That they're not talking about success. They're actually doing success every day.
And how would you know if they're doing?
Well, you would see it in their statistics, right? Like there's some things you can't fake.
Yeah.
You can't fake somebody. We're buying $250 million worth of real estate this month with my money. Hard to fake that. Okay, it's a great Instagram post, by the way, but you can't fake it. There's going to be a loan. There's going to be a building. There's going to be acres and acres of land. There's going to be people living there. Like you just can't fake it. So there's a lot of things you can fake. You can make a nice little quote, put it on Instagram. People look at it like that's the truth, And the public is confused with a lot of what appears to be the truth that's not.
True.
And so I would just tell people, study people that have success, that are doing it now. Also, the second thing I would say is make sure that where you're getting your advice from them lines up with where you need advice, right? So Warren Buffett, he's at the tail. He's at the tail of his. He's probably here, right? So here he was doing different things than he's doing here. He talks about investing in stocks, but he actually doesn't do it. He doesn't buy stocks. He buys companies.
Yeah.
So you got to listen to people. Steve Jobs right here was one of the most aggressive business people that this planet's ever seen. I mean, he was barbarian aggressive. So was Bill Gates. But if you talk to Bill Gates today, Bill and Steve's not alive obviously, but Bill Gates today saying, dude, I'm giving all my money away. Money doesn't matter. That's not what he was saying right here.
The fastest way to achieve your goals is to model the people who've already achieved the same goals that you have. Model success. Success leaves clues, the famous expression. And it's true. People have already figured out the thing that you are struggling to figure out. And the more you are stuck trying to come up with every idea yourself, the harder you're making it on yourself. And this is one of the two fundamental lessons that I have learned in my life that has saved my life and my business. My first company, I learned this lesson first when I was 20 years old out of desperation, where I was making no money and struggling, and I quit on my business partner. I quit, I can't keep going. I quit. And I modeled Bill Gates. I just asked myself, who has done this before? Modeled Bill Gates, put it to work, had some success. I've told the story many times, but it's important because that was the thing that saved me. That's what saved my company. In modeling Bill Gates and how he started Microsoft, that's what saved my business and allowed me to keep going. And I'm now here. If I didn't do that, I'd probably have some job that I'm not happy with. 20 years later, still stuck in the same job that I'm not happy with. And that idea came to me at a moment of desperation. It's not even the smartest idea, right? I mean, I wasn't into personal development. I wasn't reading books. I didn't know anything. And I wish I had somebody guide me or mentor me. And it's a very basic idea, model success. I wish I'd watched videos like this. I wish they were available when I was 19, 20 years old. It really just came out of a moment of desperation where I'm at my parents' home, crying my face off because I just quit on this business that I cared about, and I didn't want to fail, but I felt there was no option. I just felt overwhelmed, frustrated. It just was not working out, and everything felt lost. And it was only in that absolute moment of crisis that I thought maybe somebody else has done this before. Where up until that point, I felt like I had to come up with every idea myself. Like, oh, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we could try this. And nothing seemed to be working. And it wasn't until I asked that question that then I found Bill Gates and how he started Microsoft. And that's what started turning the company around. Whatever problem you're facing right now, it's been addressed many, 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 many times by many, 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 many successful people. Your job becomes to find out who they are and to go back and study how they solve that problem. And it's really important to figure out how they solve the exact problem that you're struggling with right now. So what I told myself when I was looking at Bill Gates was, I don't care how Bill Gates makes an extra $1 million right now. How did he get started? How did he go from 0 to 1? What was the thing that built his company up? And for all of these people, the bigger they are, the easier it is to research their story. Bill Gates only came to mind because I had a software company and I just said, who's built a software company? It was not even that structured or thought out or in depth or in detail. He was the first guy that I thought of that had a software company. Bill Gates, Microsoft. How'd he do it? That was it. And in looking at his story, I found out that Microsoft built their business through partnerships. And their big deal came when they made a partnership with IBM. And IBM at the time was the biggest computer manufacturer on the planet. So the deal was every IBM that was shipped, every computer that was shipped from the biggest computer manufacturer in the world had Microsoft software on it. It was a huge deal. That blew up the company. And that was pretty easy to find, right? The transitional moment in the company. It's like, wow, okay, partnerships, that's interesting. I maybe can do that. But Microsoft was already a $7 million company when they made that deal. Now, $7 million was nothing compared to what they would go on to be, right? Billions and billions of dollars. But it was $7 million was still more than what I had, right? $7 million felt like a giant company compared to me making $300 a month, right? So the next layer is to dig a little deeper. Not just their big break, which is important, but how did they get started? Like, how did they get to the big break is really valuable. It's really helpful to figure out. And again, the bigger the person is that you're modeling, the easier it is to find the content. You just might have to dig. You might have to go read biographies, read articles, read interviews, watch videos to figure out those early parts, not just their upbringing, but what were the things that they did that led to the big breakthrough, not just what the big breakthrough was. Big breakthrough is super important, but the steps that led to the big breakthrough, even more important if you're at the beginning getting started. So Microsoft big breakthrough was the IBM deal. They're already $7 million company. How did they get to become a $7 million company? That was the $1 million question, maybe the $7 million question. And it was still through partnerships. So what Microsoft did was they had software and they looked at any hardware that existed that needed software for it, and they would go and pitch their software. Their first deal was with the MITS Altair, and the MITS Altair was a piece of hardware, and it was featured on the cover of their magazine. That was the big magazine for the computer industry at the time, and they needed software. And Bill Gates called them up with his partner Paul Allen and said, "Hey, we've got software for the MITS Altair that you can use that will make it a lot more valuable to people." And they didn't even have it built yet. On the plane ride over to go meet the company, Bill Gates was finishing up the code to go program, and they hoped that it would work, and luckily it did when they had the meeting. So I don't necessarily like that part of lying that you've got something, but it's interesting to know how he did it. The boldness, the willingness to reach out and say, "Hey, I've got something that can help you," were things that I really struggled with as a 19-year-old entrepreneur, believing that what I had was great and that I could really solve big problems. Where Bill Gates was saying, "Yeah, we got this," even though he didn't have it yet, and he wrote it on the plane on the way over, right? But it was still through partnerships. And anytime Microsoft was entering something new, they found partnerships. And so I applied that strategy to me. And I started looking for who can we partner with? Not like a business partner where they own a piece of our company, but who can we partner with that it's a distribution deal? And the first company that I made a deal with was out of the UK, and we had a arrangement for them to represent us in the UK and a couple of the markets in Europe where they would be distributing our product, and we made an exclusive deal so that anytime we got a lead from those markets, it would go to them and they would be doing their own marketing promotion as well. And in exchange for that exclusive partnership, they would pay us $13,500 up front. And I remember I was so scared to ask for that. It felt like a giant number. What if they said no, this big potential deal? And they said yes. They said yes, and we had money in our bank account for the first time, which was wild and crazy. And that was a fantastic deal for us. And more important is it gave us hope, which is mega important. It gave us momentum, which is mega important. And it gave us a model to keep following. And so what I ended up doing afterwards was, let's go get more partnership deals. Let's go get more partnership deals. And the people who ended up buying us was basically a partnership deal. So instead of partnering with our company, they just bought the whole business. And that's how we exited. All because of modeling Bill Gates when I quit on my company. So whatever problem you're facing, personal or business, people have solved it. Humans have been around for a long time. Somebody has solved this problem. You do not have to be a genius and come up with every new idea yourself. Can your creativity and love and panache help? Yes, of course. But you don't have to have the seed for every great idea. And chances are, the problem that you're facing right now, there's an answer 10 minutes away from you. From a YouTube video that's online, from a book, from a podcast, from an interview, there's an answer out there for you. And if you just default to saying, I'm going to model success, I'm going to find the people who've done this, and exactly how they solve that specific problem that you're facing right now, not how they're living their life right now, but how did they get over the hurdle that you're facing, when you can dig deep and find those answers. And again, the bigger the person is, the more accessible the content is. If you want to learn about Bill Gates' early life, or Steve Jobs' early life, or Oprah Winfrey's early life, or whoever it is, it's accessible. It's there. You can find this stuff. And it gives you the hope that it's possible for you, and it gives you the specific strategies that you can use to apply to your life right now so you can start seeing results. Success leaves clues. Whatever problem you've got, go model success.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you doing today? How is living your life like a champion going? Have you been perhaps defeated? Have you been in a situation where it hasn't gone your way? Are there thoughts in your head right now where they are not serving you because you're not thinking like a champion and therefore not living like a champion? Well, I want to remind you, again, use the 2 most powerful tools you have right now. That is your belief in yourself and your determination to not give up on living, but first of all, thinking like a champion. So get back at it again today, wherever you are. Start to think and fill your mind with thoughts of you being a champion human being, because that's something that is ongoing. So right now, think about how you can change your mind to think as a champion of a human being. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
In order to step into the most powerful version of yourself, you need to have clarity of intention. You need to know not just what you want, but why you want it. Put your honor where your mouth is. When you give your word, keep it. Show up. Do the work. Get your hands dirty. I love being number one. I love winning. But it's the times when things go wrong, when you fall or fail, that you're actually going to learn the most about yourself. I learned back in the 80s after reading Gary Zukav's book, Seed of the Soul. So in that book, he speaks of cause and effect. That's the 3rd law of motion in physics, which says that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, also known as karma, or what goes around comes around. And before there is a cause or action, there is always an intention that fuels that action, a motivation or reason behind the action. The reaction will reflect what that intention is. For example, I used to have the disease to please. I lived that way until my late 40s, saying yes to things when I really wanted to say no. Can anybody relate to that? Why would I say yes? Because I didn't want to upset anybody. And I never did. Because when your main intention is pleasing other people, they do that, get pleased, then keep asking you for more until you're the one who's upset. So this principle is at work in big and small ways all the time. Someone apologizes to you, but they're not really sorry. What you hear is their words, but you feel the energy of their intention. We see this often in relationships where the intention is to have a big splashy ceremony and all the energy goes into making a fantastical wedding with no clarity of intention for what the day-to-day marriage will look like. Well, learning this principle of intention was a life-altering, life-enhancing, transformational experience for me. It changed everything. The way I moved through the world, the way I did business, who I chose to work with, everything. It is, I believe, the one reason that the Oprah Winfrey Show was #1 for 25 years, because we were an intentional show with not just a mission, but a daily practice, a mission to use television to uplift, enlighten, and entertain. And that was because after learning this principle, I brought my whole team together and said, from this day forward, we do not do a show unless we are aligned in our intention. So when y'all bring me an idea, state your intention at the top. And my yes will come only if I can feel that I can accomplish or align with whatever you're doing. So you want an interview? Tell me what the intention is. What do you want? I ask every guest that I'm interviewing with, from Whitney Houston to my sit-downs with Lance Armstrong, Shaka Senghor, the mother who lost her daughter to domestic violence, and most recently, even Harry and Meghan. Before the interview, I say, tell me your intention. So you get the idea. Intention is ruling your life whether or not you're aware. It is law. It is one with cause and effect, and you can't have action or reaction without it. So in order to step into the most powerful version of yourself, you need to have clarity of intention. You need to know not just what you want, but why you want it. So let's start by setting your intention for this week. And after today, we're going to meet every week going forward to create a more intentional life, to discuss what needs to happen and what will be your why, your motivation for making it so. It all starts with thinking about why you do the things you do. And if you're not getting the results you want, don't look at the results. Look at what fueled it, the intention.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Oprah Winfrey, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, embrace failure.
Let failure be your friend. There are going to be times, of course, where you're going to win a lot. A lot of things are going to go your way. And it's wonderful to bask in that adulation and to feel proud of your successes. But there are also going to be times, the satisfaction that those moments bring, nothing can compare to that. Those victories will feed you for years to come and help you stay committed when your tank is sometimes empty. Winning is great. It's fantastic. I love it. I love being number one. I love winning. But it's the times when things go wrong, when you fall or fail, that you're actually going to learn the most about yourself. You know, all those years on the Oprah Show, 25 years, we were the number one show for 25 years. And that's because I lived with the intention to serve the audience. The audience came first every show. I would sit with the producers and say, well, I can't do that because I can't find the truth of myself in that show. I have to have a thread of truth to be able to hold on to. So I knew so well the audience. I felt like I was the audience. The audience was me. And I felt so connected. And then I ended that and started a new network. And I flailed for a while. And I was really upset with myself. But I will tell you that when I was able to shift the paradigm to start to looking at, wow, what I have instead of what I don't have, what I have instead of what I thought I'd lost, I was able to begin to turn things around. But it's those moments of uncertainty. It's the moments where, you know, all of my mistakes show up on the evening news. You can make a mistake. I can tell if I've done something wrong. It's on the CNN crawl. I can read about it. But learning from the moments where things weren't going so great, being able to get still, to connect with that which I know is God, the force, the power greater than myself, and to come back and realize that in order to move forward, you move forward by taking the next right step. You don't have to know everything to do. You don't have to know all the steps to make. Just what is the next right move.
Rule number 3, care enough to try.
It's true. You can't personally stop anybody from walking into a school with an assault rifle, nor can you single-handedly ensure that the rights that your mothers and your grandmothers fought so hard for will be preserved for the daughters that you may someday have. And it'll take more than you alone to pull 40 million Americans out of poverty. But who will you be if you don't care enough to try? And what mountains could we move, I think? What gridlock could we eradicate if we were to join forces and work together in service of something greater than ourselves? You know, my deepest satisfaction and my biggest rewards have come from exactly that. Pick a problem. Any problem, and do something about it. Because to somebody who's hurting, something is everything.
Rule number 4, create meaningful connections.
I wanted to share with you this line from Brené Brown's latest extraordinary new book, Atlas of the Heart, that will be available come this Tuesday, November 30th. She says, our connection with others can only be as deep as our connection with ourselves. That's what we're talking about this week. And there perhaps is no time in recent memory when it's more necessary to actually cultivate empathy and connection in order to make sense of the profound changes that we're all undergoing. Everywhere we turn, we can't grapple with the many urgent issues facing us and facing our planet without understanding ourselves first. And in Atlas of the Heart, Brené and her team of researchers and therapists and educators and others have so richly explored how to cultivate an emotional vocabulary. Like, we need the words, the language, the expressions that help us process and identify what it is we're feeling and what is happening to us, and to be able to communicate that to other people. And what they've discovered is that without that, we won't find the solid ground within us that gives us the courage and the confidence to embrace love, to embrace happiness and our own vulnerability, to face and transcend our pains, or to navigate the great uncertainty that is the human condition. So in Brené's words, she says, with an adventurous heart and the right maps, we can travel anywhere and never fear losing ourselves, even when we don't know where we are. I just love that. The solid ground, the anchor we're searching for, is connection, and it is within each of us. But to forge meaningful connections with others, again, we have to first connect with ourselves. And I know we're doing a lot of connecting this week with family and friends. We have to establish a common understanding of the language of emotions and human experience in order to do that.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, get still.
As you're trying to figure out, what do I do? How should I do it? First of all, I will say this, that when you don't know what to do, my girls have heard this over 100 times. When you don't know what to do, you do nothing. You get still until you do know. Because when you have to ask everybody else, should I do this, should I, and that's whether it's buying a pair of shoes or going with a guy, buying a house, taking a job, should I? When you have to ask everybody else, it means you don't really know the answer fully yourself. So you get still, be still, and know the answer will come.
Rule number 6, stand for something.
Here are variations on a few grand themes, beginning with this. Pick a problem, any problem. The list is long. Here are just a few that are at the top of my list. There's gun violence, and there's climate change and systemic racism, economic inequality, media bias, the homeless need opportunity, the addicted need treatment, the dreamers need protection, the prison system needs reforming, the LGBTQ community needs acceptance, the social safety net needs saving, and the misogyny needs to stop. Needs to stop. But you can't fix everything. And you can't save every soul. But what can you do? Here and now, I believe you have to declare war on one of our most dangerous enemies, and that is cynicism. Because when that little creature sinks in, its hooks into you, it'll cloud your clarity, it'll compromise your integrity, it'll lower your standards, it'll choke your empathy, and sooner or later, cynicism shatters your faith. When you hear yourself saying, oh, it doesn't matter what one person says, oh, well, so what? It's not going to make any difference what I do. Who cares? When you hear yourself saying that, know that you're on a collision course for our culture. And I understand how it's so easy to become disillusioned, so tempting to allow apathy to set in, because anxiety is being broadcast on 157 channels 24 hours a day, all night long. And everybody I know is feeling it. But these times are here to let us know that we need to take a stand for our right to have hope. And we need to take a stand with every ounce of wit and courage we can muster. The question is, what are you willing to stand for? That question is going to follow you throughout your life. And here's how you answer it. You put your honor where your mouth is. Put your honor where your mouth is. When you give your word, keep it. Show up, do the work, get your hands dirty, and then you'll begin to draw strength from the understanding, the true knowing that history is still being written. You're writing it every day. The wheel's still in spin, and what you do or what you don't do will be a part of it.
Rule number 7, have constructive engagement.
More than ever, I would have to say, I miss the Oprah Winfrey Show. I chose to let it go. I felt that I'd said everything I needed to say after 25 years, and I wanted it to be my decision when I let it go. But I will say this past year, and now more than ever, I miss it because I miss the opportunity for the spirit of constructive engagement that platform offered. So 2 weeks after the election last year, I went to a diner in Queens for Oprah Magazine with a group of women. Half of them were Trump supporters, half of them were Hillary supporters. Nobody wanted to come to breakfast. I was like, it's gonna be some great croissants. We're gonna have some nice jams, ladies. Nobody wanted to sit down and have the croissants. So everybody came in the room all tight and hardened. And so I was able to, they were like, well, I've never been this close to these Hillary elitists. I've never been this close. And there other people were saying, well, I never sat this close to Trump supporter before, but we're gonna do it. I will tell you, after 2.5 hours, I had those women not only eating croissants, sitting around the table, listening to each other's stories, hearing both sides. And by the end, they were holding hands, exchanging emails and phone numbers and singing Reach Out and Touch. We're all pretending to be Diana Ross, which means it's possible, it can happen. So I want you to work in your own way to change the world in respectful conversations with others at a rate and a rhythm that's in tune with the source from which you have come, your truth. And I want you to enter every situation aware of its context, open to hear the truths of others, and most important, open to letting the process of changing the world change you. That is the spirit of constructive engagement. So that's the goal, to be a compassionate woman of substance, to be committed, to have constructive engagement, to live this life of substance. Substance. What I know for sure is if you focus on the substance, the success will come.
Rule number 8, choose you.
These past few weeks, I've been thinking a lot about Adele and our one night only conversation that we had for CBS. Such a beautiful conversation and concert and beautiful album. You can feel her heart and soul in every lyric on 30. Her emotional pain, she seems to have used as her muse. I said that to her during our conversation. And you know by now that she wrote that album while going through a divorce. And she told me that she left her marriage in pursuit of her own happiness. And she has so many meaningful things to say about choosing you and not being guilty about it. The pursuit of your own happiness is enough of a reason to make a major change, like Adele did. Let that sink in for a minute. So how did Adele find the bravery to trust herself and uproot her life? I asked her just that, and her answer struck me. She told me that she imagined the person she would want her 9-year-old son to know. When she was unhappy, which she was in the marriage, he, her son, wasn't getting the best version of her. So Adele dedicated the album to him as a way of telling him what she was going through. So, of course, Adele's situation is specific to her, but the greater lesson can apply to just everyone. So many women stay in miserable situations, whether it's their job, their friendships, romantic relationships, and even encounters with family members because they don't feel they have the strength or the right to let go. They might feel scared to put themselves first, to listen to that voice that's in your spirit saying, do what's best for you, make the change. The best thing I gathered from this new 30 album, along with being soothed by the music, it's such a great album, is an even more compelling understanding that choosing happiness for yourself is what truly allows you to begin bringing happiness to other people. So during the holiday season, we've already been conditioned to give and give and give and give and give and give and give to others, but it's important to make time for yourself too. That care is the gift you give to yourself. And that's what we're taking away from this week, I'm hoping. Being able to choose what's right for you and knowing when it is right.
Rule number 9, serve.
I was not your age, but about 30 years old, I started to realize that it was my whole life, not just parts of my life, just not parts of what I was doing, but my whole life was a prayer. My whole life is an offering in service, first to yourself, to become a fully actualized human being. And you do that through your actions and your interactions with others. But when I started to realize it's not just what I do, but it's how I do it. It's how I'm not just praying on my knees, but I live in a state of humility on my knees in service to the higher calling of my life, that things started to change.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is inspire and motivate.
Eat a good breakfast. It really pays off. Pay your bills on time. Recycle, make your bed. Aim high. Say thank you to people and actually really mean it. Ask for help when you need it. And put your phone away at the dinner table. Just sit on it, really. And know that what you tweet and post on Instagram today might be asked about in a job interview tomorrow or 20 years from tomorrow. Be nice to little kids, be nice to your elders, be nice to animals, and know that it's better to be interested than interesting. Invest in a quality mattress. I'm telling you. Your back will thank you later. And don't cheap out on your shoes. And if you're fighting with someone you really love, for God's sakes, find your way back to them, because life is short even on our longest days. And another thing you already know that definitely bears repeating, don't ever confuse what is legal with what is moral, because they are entirely different animals. You see, in a court of law, there are loopholes and technicalities and bargains to be struck, but in life, you're either principled or you're not. So do the right thing, especially when nobody's looking. And while I'm at it, do not equate money and fame with accomplishment and character, because I can assure you, based on the thousands of people I've interviewed, one does not automatically follow the other. Something else, you need to know this. Your job is not always going to fulfill you. There will be some days that you just might be bored. Other days, you may not feel like going to work at all. Go anyway. And remember that your job is not who you are. It's just what you're doing on the way to who you will become. Every remedial chore, every boss who takes credit for your ideas, that is going to happen. Look for the lessons, because the lessons are always there.
Good evening, guys. How did it go today? Was there a time where you lived and felt like a champion today? Even one moment? Well, hopefully there was. But if there wasn't, again, the mark of a champion, and especially a champion human being, is getting back up, getting back in there, going back to that time and that opportunity, and thinking how you can respond better. And so for me, this has been the theme of my life, and I'm sure many people. We're always getting defeated. We're always getting knocked down. We're always making mistakes. But the thing that drives me is the thought that I want to be a champion, and I'm starting to think like one, and I want you to as well. The fact that we can work on the most powerful thing in the world, our thoughts, which is the same for everyone, makes us champions already. So let's live it forever. Have a great evening, everyone.
Begin. You know, I hear that a lot. Like, where do I start? I would say there is huge power in beginning. There's huge power in starting. It's almost like the universe begins to support you when you take that first step.
Yes.
I would say believe in you when no one else believes in you until the whole world believes in you. I think the reason why we even have the question of where do I begin is from fear. We're paralyzed. So it's start to believe in yourself and start to read books and realize all the great heroes were anonymous for 25 or 30 years before the world celebrated them. I would also say genius is less about genetics and more about your habits. So, you know, start with the philosophy of beginning and starting. Start to believe in yourself. Understand that you're going to be laughed at. You're going to be misunderstood. And every great hero is misunderstood at the beginning. But then install the right habits. And this is where the methodology does follow the philosophy.
Yeah.
Once you get the philosophy, which is just the truth, what do you want your life to stand for? You know, what's most important to you? What are your big five for the rest of your life? What are the key values and beliefs you want to live by? Once you get the philosophy calibrated and you don't follow the world's philosophy, you have the bravery and wisdom to trust what feels right to you. Then start installing the habits that science have proven to work. And for me, it's been the 5 a.m. club is very powerful, the 5 great hours rule, the second wind workout, which is basically if you believe exercise is valuable, why would you only do it once a day? The micro bravery, a great pre-sleep workout, the weekly design system, etc.
Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Robin Sharma, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, practice being excellent.
It's easier to behave yourself into a new way of thinking than think yourself into a new way of acting.
So act first, and then you'll start to think and believe it, as opposed to think and believe and then start acting.
Practice being spectacular long enough that unspectacularity has no ability to enter your orbit. Right? I mean, how do the great athletes become great? You know this, you're an athlete.
Practicing nonstop.
It's just practicing nonstop, and the behavioral researchers call it automaticity. Right? You practice, people go, well, how do I get discipline? Well, discipline is a muscle. You are someone's undisciplined, and then you get out of the bed and you get up early, or you make your bed, or you do 25 push-ups or whatever, and you do it and you do it and you do it, and through the power of neuroplasticity, the malleability of the human brain, it's almost like a metaphor is for anyone who wants to make a change and who says, I can't do it. Well, your can't do it is the reason why you're not doing it. Because the can't do it is your weaker self versus your heroic self. So it's almost like a metaphor. You wake up in the morning, you know, and you want to do something. Let's say it's to be a better, more focused, better performer, because in addiction and distraction is the death of your creative production. So it's almost like a wide open mountain meadow. And the first time you practice turning off your phone and practicing what I call in the Everyday Hero Manifesto, the 5 great hours rule. Forget working more than 5 great hours a day. 5 sweaty, intense hours. So say you want to practice that. It's almost like you're walking in a mountain meadow, and it's a pure mountain meadow. You do it after a few weeks, now the meadow becomes a trail because you've practiced it. Eventually the trail becomes a road, and you keep on practicing it, and eventually the road becomes a highway. And if you keep on practicing it, the highway becomes a super highway. And then if you look at the neurobiology, you've got this circuit, and around it is starts to form a fatty tissue called myelin. And some people believe, some neuroscientists believe, that myelin is the secret of genius. That's why Wayne Gretzky could send the puck to where it was going versus where it was. That's why Steve Jobs could see around corners, and he was, this favorite word I love, prescient. He could see where everything was going before anyone else could. It's not because these people are cut from a different cloth. It's because they run different protocols, think different thoughts, and they do different things. And what I'd say to wrap that up is, to have the results only 5% of the population has, we've got to be willing to be brave enough and faithful enough to do what 95% of the population are unwilling to do.
Rule number 3, improve yourself every day.
There's such power in personal improvement. I saw a comment section of an online newspaper, and someone was mocking the idea of self-improvement, but Michelangelo's David in Florence, Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, Jonas Salk's Vaccine, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, the Taj Mahal. Those were all examples of self-improvement. Our civilization has got to where it's at right now through the progress of people who improve themselves by reaching deep within themselves and saying, I am more than I currently am, and I have a vision, and I will materialize it when it's easy, when it's hard, when it's dark, when there's sunshine, when I'm doubtful, when I'm confident. So the second word representing the second piece of advice I'd give if I was dying, let's say, would be grow. Use each day as a platform to build your knowledge base so you can deliver more value. Use each day to grow in your self-awareness. Use each day to grow your muscles and your physicality. Use each day to read and pray and meditate and journal so you grow into and glorify your greatness.
Rule number 4, keep your promises.
Being meticulous, if not impeccable, around promise keeping is a great way to increase your self-discipline and your willpower and your character and your spirituality. If you say to someone you will call them next week to take them for lunch, do it. You say to someone you're reading an amazing new book, you've heard about it, it's called the Everyday Hero Manifesto, or any book, of course. And you say you'll send it to them because you love it so much, do it. And as you become meticulous and outright impeccable with keeping your promises, you get to a place where you simply cannot not follow through on your promises. And it builds such credibility in other people's eyes, but it really gives you this iron will. Even if you say you're going to do a workout, so your self-promises, follow through on those. The more you follow through on self-promises, the stronger your willpower gets. Remember, it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more you exercise it, the stronger it will become.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5, listen to your heart.
I believe there are actually 3 other interior empires that complete the personal heroism equation. Mindset, is it important? Absolutely, because that's your psychology. Your daily behavior reflects your deepest beliefs. Unless you upgrade your psychology, then your behavior will always be limited. And no question, positive thinking is important. But there's a chapter in the book called the Big Lie of Positive Thinking.
Yes.
We can get into that. But
Yes.
so your mindset's important. Having said that, there are 3 other interior empires. The second is your heart set. Now, a lot of people, I know so many entrepreneurs and industry titans and professional sports superstars follow your work. This could sound like a little flaky and weak. Actually, it's incredibly powerful to purify your heart set, because your mindset is your psychology. Your heart set is your emotionality.
Yeah.
We are, as human beings, we have emotions. It was a wide open heart that allowed Beethoven to do the Moonlight Sonata. It was a wide open heart that allowed Shakespeare to do his work, or Hedy Lamarr to invent. If you look at the most successful, even industry titans, these people are being driven by a compelling cause. Steve Jobs did what he did, not because he cared about money. Steve Jobs did what he did because he was an artist who wanted to bring great beauty to the world. I heard an interview yesterday, tributes after his death, from people who knew him. And they said he was, yes, he would get angry because he was so invested in his mighty mission in making the world a better place.
He was almost evangelical.
He was
about his
almost
cause.
evangelical.
Yeah.
There was one thing I found this so fascinating. He called one of his designers 2 a.m. when they were working on the iPhone. Designer wakes up, yes, Steve. He says, Steve Jobs says, well, in the back of the iPhone, there's 3 screws. Designer says, but that's inside. No one's ever going to see those. Don't worry, Steve. Steve Jobs says, yes, but we know those 3 screws are there, and 2 screws are going to be much better. Fix it.
Yeah.
So heart set is our higher level emotions like gratitude, awe, and wonder. And yet here is the key point. Our heart set also is all the suppressed emotions that we pick up as we go through life. Carl Jung called it the shadow side. Sigmund Freud said all of the suppressed emotions that we do not feel, like guilt, anger, shame, disappointment, frustration, that we pick up as we go through life, if those are not dealt with, they come back in ugly ways. And so,
and they're suppressants to your genius.
Well, that is the absolute key, because if our society doesn't welcome us to work through those. So what it creates is, in the book, I call it a field of hurt. And so you can go to all the productivity courses, you can read all the business books, you can learn exactly what to do about mindset, but you're never going to get to world class or greatness, because there will always be a block between who you are and who you truly are because of all of those suppressed emotions. Once you learn how to release them, you get intimate with your inner heroism. Your creativity soars, your productivity soars. You actually open your heart to love. Great products are made of love. Great teams are built of love. Great movements are launched from love. Then there's mindset, there's heart set, there's health set, and then there's soul set. Soul set is your spirituality. I'm not necessarily talking about religion, but once you turn down the loud voices of your ego, and we can talk about the tools to do it, and you start to hear the silent whispers of your inner hero, you start living the truth. And when you do that consistently, you become the most powerful person in every room that you're in. And you don't need to worry about branding, because your character and your energy and your love is the messenger for every single thing you do.
Rule number 6, own your truth.
There are only 2 reasons why we are alive. And I think if we strip away the accessories and the trinkets that the world sells to us as the metrics of success, like how many social media likes do you have? How much money do you have? How much fame? In the book, I say JPF is always more valuable than FFA. joy, peace, and freedom is a million times more valuable than fame, fortune, and applause. And ask anyone who has fame, fortune, and applause what they would be willing to give for joy, peace, and freedom. So we get to live, the great thing about being human is we get to live as we wish, and I'm in no position to judge how anyone's living. Personally, I believe when we get to the last hour of our last day and we strip away all the things so many people are chasing, I deeply believe only two things will matter. Number one, who did you become? As compared to our promise, how much of it did we materialize through the work we're talking about? And number two, how many people did we help?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to me, it's like, and they're connected because the more you own your truth and move through the layers of fear, doubt, disbelief into your most creative, productive, powerful, loving, decent, noble self, the more you will start to see yourself as an instrument of service to the world. I think that's our fundamental nature. It's to give.
Rule number 7, leave your comfort zone.
Leave the safe harbor of the known, because it's the most dangerous place to be. Hug your monsters, embrace your dragons. You will realize you have been limiting your life based on a series of illusions that were taught to you and programmed into you, and that were brainwashed and heart-washed against your genius. Invent. Go blue ocean versus stay in the safe harbor of the known. Ask yourself, what product, service, magic can I bring to the marketplace that no one else is daring to do? Don't copy, create, invent, and invent your life. Once you are at a place where you know all the answers to your biggest questions, tear it all down. Reinvent yourself, move to a new country, start reading new books, try a new business, become a new person. Invent is what I would say. Never stop improving. That acronym I've been teaching, NSI, never stop improving. Maintain that white belt mentality. The thing about a master is she never thinks she's a master. She always operates like a beginner. Finally, the fifth word I would offer to you with great love, respect, and faith in your brilliance.
Rule number 8, choose to do difficult things.
It is so powerful to be in the business of doing hard things. What makes a leader? What's an entrepreneur? It's someone who literally understands that you get paid to find solutions to difficult things. In your life as a human being outside of business, choose difficult things. Choose the longer run. Choose the harder workout. Read the difficult book. Have the hard conversation. Vote for the challenging project that no one else in your industry will do. And that is a great way to develop willpower, because as you move through the project towards completion, it draws hidden forces and strengths that you did not know you had out to see the light of day, and you get to know how powerful you are.
Rule number 9, stop being busy.
I would say an addiction to distraction is the death of your creative production when it comes to productivity. In the Everyday Hair Manifesto, there is a revolutionary rule called the 5 great hours rule. So you don't need to work for 7 hours a day. I do not subscribe to hustle and grind. I don't work for more than a few hours a day. I work 4 hours every week. I take 4 months plus off every single year. How I do it is in the book, including the weekly design system. When I work, I'm away from distraction. There's a difference between real work and fake.
That's right.
There's a difference between real work and fake work. Let us not confuse busy with productivity.
That's right.
Let us not confuse movement with impact. So I think that's really important. And we can get into the Menlo Park and the type of total focus structures. But you talked about family, Ed. And I believe the greatest gift we can give another human being is the gift of our presence. And if you look at the greatest heroes and the greatest leaders, they had an ability
100%.
to be there. And the very fact you said it means you do practice it. And I can tell everyone watching right now, you have so much presence. And I'm not talking about charisma, which you have. I'm talking about you are here in a world where a lot of people are cyber zombies and, you know, just not present. So I think you can change the world and live a world-class life, or you can play with your phone all day. You can't do both. And we could get into the science of emotional residue. Every single time you check a notification, every single time you like something.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is live a life of service.
Serve. It's the formula for happiness. Find a cause that's larger than yourself and donate the remainder of your life to it. Serve. Meet someone on the street, try to leave them better than you found them. Serve in your business life. Be a servant leader, servant hero. Ask yourself, how can I deliver magic and value to them? Serve your family. If you have children, grow your children, develop your children, inspire your children. Your significant other, help that person become the person that they're meant to be. Serve the world in your own unique way. That would be my advice to you if I were dying.